Becca Wells became an involuntary porn star when her ex plastered pics she took with him in private all over the internet. Her name, job, and city where she lived were posted there too. All the cops could say was that she consented to taking them and she wasn't underage. Every day, people pick up their smartphones and snap pics to document their lives. Intimate situations make for a much more private pic. But if or when that relationship turns sour, the intent to embarrass or shame their partner could send those private photos out into the public. It's called revenge porn. Marianne Franks is a law professor at the University of Miami and a legislative director with the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative.
So of course, you've always had people attempting to get vengeance on their ex-partners. You probably have had people disclosing pictures without consent as long as there have been pictures. But the internet makes it incredibly easy for people to do this, makes it incredibly easy for something to go viral so that thousands, potentially millions of people can see it, and also provides the opportunity for people to make money off of this. So these are all pretty serious, harmful things in our society that I think our laws have not yet caught up with and really need to start doing a better job of dealing with.
So far, a total of 25 states plus the District of Columbia are fighting revenge porn now, with laws criminalizing the dirty deed. Texas is now one of those states. The Lone Star State's law takes effect September 1st and offers temporary restraining orders and punitive damages to the victim that have no outlined limits. Attorney Justin Nichols says identifying characteristics, even without a face, counts under the law.
From a practical standpoint, what that means is it's no longer lawful to have intimate, we think intimate, let's be honest, it's nude pictures, and maybe something goes wrong, and the person, when they shared them with you, believed that they would stay between you, and now you don't have their consent and are sharing them. That's against the law. You can be enjoined, you can be fined, you can be have all types of sanctions and exemplary damages, which are punishment damages, which can get pretty hefty.
Even Nichols admits, though, that a law like this could be tough to indict. The perpetrator could be hard to find if he or she shields their identity. A victim has to be brave enough to bring the case forward, and clear-cut violations need to be found.
This is not a perfect law, but what it is a tool that in really egregious instances, when someone has done something that's really caused an unfair and unjust harm to somebody, they have a remedy. And so for the most egregious far-end behavior, now we have some protections, but it's not a cure-all, and people still need to be mindful that once it's out there, it's always out there, and there is some responsibility for that.
The American Civil Liberties Union of Texas thinks the so-called revenge porn law state lawmakers drafted is, quote, overly broad. Tom Hargis, the director of communications for the ACLU of Texas, told KSAT.com in a statement, when revenge pornographers violate existing laws against stalking, threatening, or extortion, we need to enforce the law. But this new law goes much further, criminalizing common forms of speech engaged in by journalists, artists, and publishers, not to mention a great many cell phone users. That raises constitutional concerns about freedom of speech. Frank says the ACLU's position on the state's new revenge porn law is bizarre.
I mean, if you start from the position that any type of law that regulates expression violates the First Amendment, then of course you're going to say that these laws do that too. But as we know, lots and lots of laws actually do regulate expression, laws against fraud, laws against privacy violations. There's lots of laws that actually say you can't say and do certain things. So this is one of those laws, and there will be certain groups that think that they should have more freedom, and there will be groups that think you should have less, but we all have to come to the conclusion and the recognition that law regulates expression all the time. And when we're talking about particularly harmful speech that can ruin somebody's life, then it does make sense for the state to step in and say, we're going to regulate this.
Websites like the one victim Becca Wells created, Women Against Revenge Porn, are devoted to providing resources to victims, from hiring an attorney to filing a Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice. But the message attorneys want potential victims to hear isn't really about the steps victims can take after revenge porn happens. It's about preventing it in the first place.
Once the cat's out of the bag, it's hard to put it back in.
Ryan Loyd, KSAT.com.